of the world, Supersonic's money transfer of the world with our safe, secure, fast and convenient service that offers you the largest selection of payout locations in the Gambia. Supersonic's money transfer. We are currently in 34 African countries and counting, giving you quality money remittance services that are second to none. Visit the Google Play Store or the Apple Store today to download the Supersonics Money Transfer app and enjoy excellent money transfer services only with Supersonics.
ci maakaan ñi nga xam ne nag ñooy waa IEC ñoom ñoo ko teeru ci bunta gi dar di ko yóbbu gunge ko ba fi nga xam ne nag mooy ci table bu mag bi foofu noonu nag kii di IEC chairman di Haji Momar Njie ak ñu mu àndal ñu ngi koy xaarandi moom Essa nag moom ngeen gis noonu ak koppateem ak li nga xam ne nag mooy xaftaan bu weex ba mu sol max waaye ci gàttal rek lii xew mooy dafay jébal ay kayit yoo xamante ne nag warugal la bu fekkee da nga bëgg a bokk si jongante lii di December 4 presidential election tey moom la ñëw teewal si nii te bu ci paree rek yaakaar nañ ne tamit dina seex a waxtaan ak ñii di taskati xibaar yi ndax tey àddina si taskati xibaar yi ñu ngi bàyyi ko ci àddina si fu nekk ñëw fii ci biir réew mi kon nag Fatoumata noonu la am mbir yi tere comme ni ma ko waxee kan mooy Essa Mbye Faal yan taxawul la jël xam naa bu ci kanamee rek dinañ ci xuus tuuti.
Bubahaba, thank you so much, Mr. Tijan Jane. And then if you're just watching Jartis TV and listening to Jartis Radio, Mr. Mbye Faal has made his way into the election house. He is seated. We can see Mr. Faal with his sky blue hat with his face mask on. And then he is there with the electoral officials on the desk where he is about to present his nomination papers to the chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, Mr. Ali Momar Njie. And then over the past days, the documents that we get to hear that these aspiring candidates are presented before the IEC officials include their educational qualifications. We also see their tax clearance. They've also been presenting that, their voter card, their sponsorship letters, their campaign schedules. These are all documents that continue to be asked by the chairman of the Independent Electoral Commission, among all the documents that are supposed to be tendered for the IEC officials to scrutinize, and then those are the exact documents that they will exhibit for the public to scrutinize as well. That everybody will have a say in this nomination process, and this is why it is exceptional. It is unprecedented compared to what has been happening in previous years. And while that is ongoing, I would briefly allow Yoro Jalo to tell our fuller listeners what is about to unfold here at the IEC. Yoro.
Ajarama Fanmara Sise, Musiba Hetotobe Larobe Jarties, Menon Chalmina Hajuni, do IEC head of his store, no kind of thing, no Gadanda, Hane o Subaka Hanwani Balde Jegom, Gili or nominations footy. Hanon, Sudingolo Wonde Marek, o Waktuoni, do IEC, Donda, Conjusion Kodo, or Nana. Duwoni Essa Mbye Faal yottima kulle kamme hollirgol tan faale mum jitki mum tan e hamme mum ko tawa he ngal porondal carte president yaaji di pongal walleru December balde mum nayi hitande gonden de do dum woni ko watta ko waktu do ni yeso seda garo fotta ar woni incumbent his excellency the president dum woni Adama Barrow kamme arat kulle hollirgol timmam jitki mum faale mum e hamme mum e kulle e fodondiregol tan carte présidiaji ɗi ɗu lewru décembre arondu balɗe mum nayi no nani ɗo ni rek Farmata Tidiane en kaaliri Essa Mbye Faal ka wonno lead council mo TRRC e nde ɗum yawti tan kamɓe holliri faale mum e hande mum.
Right, Yoro, we just listened to that. The IEC chairman is about to speak.
Honorable Faal, welcome.
Thank you very much, sir.
You are here for nomination,
Yes.
and the procedure is that you have to submit all the documents that are required to be considered. Please let us have all the brought one by one.
Thank you very much. Um, by your checklist of the nomination requirements, we are providing the following documents. That is a checklist which is so that you can follow with me the types of documents I'm going to submit.
So, Mr. Faal, just if you have to know this checklist, just give us.
That's right. This is copies of my expired and current passports, which prove my citizenship as a Gambian.
Mr. Faal, the procedure here, just give us, we go through it, and what we should take, we take it, and what we should not take, we give it back to you. After we does.
That's good. Thank you very much, sir. And these are copies of my certificates.
Mr. Faal, just give us something. Just something.
all. Essa just recently, before coming to the Gambia, was in the Hague at the International Criminal Court, where he served as co-lead counsel of the former Liberian President Charles Taylor, who was undergoing trial at the ICC. But then also we had all the cases that Mr. Essa Faal and the other councils have been looking at as far as the ICC's prosecutions are concerned, and that would include one in Kenya, and then alongside in Sudan, among other countries. And then perhaps if you combine all these experiences together, this wealth of experience, this is why, as I says, he always leads when it comes to taking part in activities based on his wealth of experience. But I'd also mention that during his unveiling at the American International University, that's where he unveiled his interest to run for president in the Gambia. He had outlined his programs and policies that he intend to roll out when he becomes, or when he is elected into office to serve as president of the Republic of the Gambia. That includes looking at the health sector, boosting the health sector. Like you said, the health sector's current state is not up to expectation, and he intends to boost this sector. We will talk about that extensively after the presentation of these credentials. We can't hear any more discussions unfolding there. All the officials, the IEC officials are doing is to verify these documents, to look at them. We don't know what all the documents Mr. Essa Faal had presented, but what we do know is that the only two documents we had of is the current and then past or expired passports to prove citizenship, and then that of the copies of his certificates, and I bet that would be his academic credentials. But back to his policies and programs, I had mentioned the health sector. He also intends to look at the agriculture sector to mechanize it, but not only to mechanize it, based on his statements at the American International University, where his unveiling was done. He wants to mechanize the agriculture sector, where the country can become food self-sufficient, because Essa believes the Gambia has all what it takes to feed itself, and then to desist from the heavy importation of food and then other products from outside the country. And also he intends to safeguard the natural resources, in his own words, in the country, and to take full control of that. Because he believes the Gambia is naturally endowed, and then when these natural resources are safeguarded and protected, it will contribute immensely to the advancement and development of the Gambia. And this is not only what Mr. Essa Faal had said during that unveiling, and these are all part of his policies and programs. But he had also mentioned the fact that he will ensure that basic amenities, such as electricity, water supply, among others, are decentralized, because he said most of these developments are focused in urban areas, and then the rural Gambia is neglected in this regard, in his own words. And then he intends to ensure that communities, regions across the country benefit equally from these services that are basic human rights that every citizen in the Gambia should benefit from. So these are some of the things that will have to do with a lot of issues that they will be asking. And then right after that, our correspondent who is here with us, Aissatou Jatta, will be corresponding with us live to bring us up to date as to what has been transpiring over the desk there. But while the scrutiny of the papers at this juncture are on the way at the desk where the IEC chairman is, we will hand over the mic, or I will hand over the mic to Haji to speak to our Sarahule listeners, pending what we are going to hear from the desk as far as Mr. Essa Mbye Faal's submission of nomination papers before the IEC chairman are concerned. Haji.
Nuwari siri tise maremu wati karangane kau jam di arna kiyen kene ngabo nomu ndeme kere sunga ken ngondi ori na bismillah karangane kadi na ajopa kenganya sagarande nga angat nanti serebenu kanti mirakallo dizem man kaso un president emme hutinde ngondi watni ke hakati serebe kadi kunu kenyani Essa Mbye Faal ake Essa Mbye Faal de kaga tumo be anya sere angat nanti kebero magama yugo ngondi loye nyani sere tuinta korani kayna kadi alo ya ko ken gonda de kharan ko tum famu siri ka golle kebe kama ada ke famu lenki nya sagarande nya birambe kadi dakello president me hutinde kebe di ala kode nanti hamminni kay angat nanti kana ta Gambia re khasum tugaro nun logo kengan man na gol nyangano ndangani ina ho kappa kenga kotam pindu benu gati yonkin cha hampol la khenga so hampol la khenga ati migara yurwa editi nangabo ake Essa Mbye Faal de loya na ngat nanti kebe gara higabe angat nanti agara sere gabe agi golle ken gondi ara sere gabe gemu angat nanda golli dingira khoroy dingira no benu angat nanti duna loya hampol khoro agolli kuntu no gondi lenkina nomination ya bare hananani Essa Mbye Faal agara kayit no benu sagundi o kuga hibe mugu kenna di passport ni nyako passport bu benu angat nanti yakati dangi do hibe ga maka kebe hakati ngama dangi bare har sai wakati mun kinni mai ado chairman kinni IEC Aliou Momoro Njai ake Essa Mbye Faal kaga mukumo be ado jamampo gabelli sere gabe ambiance nga dura selanga sopata ni yono gari nan kai IEC luwa ke har sai mo nyadi anganari ando tamman me sere ganari tankara ke sere banan kam rono kutundu ni sellanye ken gono nake mpakata era konti IEC kaya nga kornaminga Essa Mbye Faal di gol nyal lemu angab ni sebe tindon dangay ado sopota non kutunju iswata gandi wa IEC chairman trekana kingani ado Njai fatma nanwari.
Right, and Nuari Haji Sumundu, Mr. Baji.
Liko bakasafi hambe jata liko kutata di kapana kiti di IEC ni mure kumeno nomination antum man annene di asene fay ki wayta wala fukulati IEC chairman o nomi Essa Mbye Faal o be jum di kan president mo beti Gambia dere woto wayta wala tu wan ku chengomi amunta ko wo man asene fukulati annene fukulati bu anduna seni sempo man ko di kajikel kayta koko jandi buku katno man ajo woto opo kunane independent bukana ke Gambia ku lebo muna kanye wana ngole matong be kasanke na folo di karamben nane ponu juk meti Gambia ko ka kiti man sakunda ba chama bu yaji tuwan no kene kane ke mankan kuno ke ndi kana ke wahayti tapala yon man jono corruption bare na parti la ko ja fa benen ba chama bo anuson boy ba chambu legen ndu rewtu to fanan wanu son man jo eti jëm tasino la tulé di gaz di wanu son man jo di Gambia dere an angar yoti aken du nyati Gambia akila tamambe kat man mo fameti tenge mu jo bay nafa di ko ci lawo bam bay nafa bare pan kanda fan manje be kan no men di pour ba jeg pour nafa du kana Gambia anuson du bay nafa fu ba ja fe Gambia na pana poy fo pa juk meti wanu son man jo fu ba ja fu feti mo famo fu gejaw anyama andu le baje di minin yanu sani Essa Mbye Faal independent wolo o enum TRRC lead council di babe andu pop kankaran manje di mo fumeti labiria ala ko ende kan president mo labiria ko en Charles Taylor di manya la ko me kan di mo fumeti labiria nan ku jetu mom di ICC Essa o enum anal manje o ju mom di kan aloya ola di wati kila uyu to uyu no mam jata tate andu white waju ko na karankan di University of West Indies di si karan sa ju ko na baye andu de kapana ke bunya hadama di kankanan manje na bayi di londo yama ko di
it's a good with a united people. Much obliged.
Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Nuha Baji. We can hear some word from the desk there where the IEC chairman is.
One
We don't know
Gambia, one
exactly.
people, one destiny. Yes, Togo.
You have the card with you?
The card itself.
You have the card itself?
Thank you.
This
Originals.
these are photographs.
Yes, but here are the originals for you to sign.
Well, the documents of Mr. Essa Mbye Faal are still being looked into by the officials of the Independent Electoral Commission there, led by IEC Chairman Mr. Aliu Mamar Njai. You're watching GRTS television, and then if you're listening to GRTS radio, we are broadcasting live from the Independent Electoral Commission here along the Battle Harding Highway. It's day 6 of the nomination process. That's the filing in of nomination papers by the respective presidential aspirants and independent candidates who intend to vie for the December 4th presidential elections. And these are activities that shape the electoral process here in the Gambia. And like we had earlier mentioned, this is the first time this is happening, just the presentation of nomination papers before the IEC officials, and then it will be reviewed by the IEC officials one more time, and then subject to public scrutiny, and that will be held on Saturday, where the public will have an opportunity to come and look at all these documents, being it the academic documents, And for those who are not opportune to be watching the television at this time, those who are listening to radio, and that's outside of the IEC building, we can see supporters of Mr. Essa Mbye Faal out there. This is a formidable team out there come to accompany their presidential aspirant, Mr. Essa Mbye Faal, who is interested in vying for the presidency come December 4th. And then this is actually what is transpiring outside there while the IEC officials interface with Mr. Faal to look at his document to verify them before they could confirm acceptance of this document pending scrutiny and then final confirmation of his candidacy as a candidate in the December 4th presidential elections. We can vote from the
The only outstanding one is the receipt, which will be bring by tomorrow by 4 o'clock. And this is the receipt. And of course, on Thursday, all your submissions will be subject to a public hearing. Thereafter, we'll let you know this week whether you are accepted or not.
Thank you.
Mbye Faal just completed the submission of his documents to the IEC chairman. We can hear his candidates jubilating outside there. And then, like we heard the IEC chairman say, his documents will be subjected to public scrutiny pending confirmation of his candidacy as a presidential aspirant of the Republic of the Gambia. And then we are going to the press.
It is historic for several reasons. The young men and women of this country are speaking loudly. They want change. Everywhere around the country, people are chanting about their pain, about their distrust of this government, about their dissatisfaction with the terrible state of this country. And that is why I'm standing here today, to stand for those loud voices of disenchantment. It is also another historic day because I have never seen such low play in politics of this country. I never thought I would witness a day in which democracy would be shackled by a very unpopular government. Wanting it buried, but the Gambian youth, young men and women have refused. We say no. And come December 4, we will show you, we will bring you down, and we will ensure change in this country. Come December 4 would be the beginning of the new dawn and the real dawn for this country. The youth of this country, both men and women, have been longing for this. You think you have spoiled our nomination? No. You may have dampened what has happened here today, but you have strengthened our resolve to make sure that come December 4th, we change this government and start the rebuilding of this country. I thank you very much. Could you say again, sir? Of course, it is palpably obvious. It's well known, everyone. We knew for the longest time that there was this plan to sabotage our nomination. And they have been sabotaging us from day one. We've beaten them in Banjul. We've beaten them at our nomination. We've beaten them at buffer zone. We've beaten them at Bisanova. We've beaten them at Kambisara. And they know no better. They know no better than to sabotage. We had contracted the Gambia Transport Union at Birkama, and we paid for 200 minivans. We ordered another 53 minivans and another further 23 minivans. You know, guess what they did? They went to the garage. While these people are preparing to go, they came and paid double the money. So that the drivers would refuse to transport our people. And they succeeded. It's NPP, it's quite obvious. I am a man of truth, and I never hide the truth. It's only the truth that would save us. And it doesn't matter who decided it. I am very disappointed. I am disappointed not because we have fewer numbers than we planned. We were going to blitz this place with 24,000 chanting young Gambian men and women. 24,000. But they could not stand that noise because it would be deafening IAG. They would accept it. And then what did they do? They tried to scuttle it. We sensed it and we asked the IEC to allow us to change our time. But that request was not accepted.
What do you think the crowd really matters?
Crowd doesn't matter. If it mattered, we wouldn't be here. You know what? They can prevent the crowd from coming here, but they cannot prevent them from going to the voting booths and cast their ballots. There is nothing they can do about that. They can dampen our spirits today, but the love cools like fire. They cannot stop it.
MLP!
But I have been talking about this for the longest time. I have been talking about it for the longest time. Youth empowerment is fundamental to change this country. We have to end the corruption in this country. This is state capture. This is the best example of state capture. What happened today is the best example of a mafia-type government. What happened today? It epitomizes it. But you see, we are not interested in these little side shows. I forgive them. I forgive them. But you know what? The young Gambian youth would not forgive them for trying to scuttle their democracy, and come December 4, they would punish them for their ill-advised misconduct. Yeah. Look, it doesn't matter how much money I have and where it is. You know, that is my personal concern. It's no business of yours that I have some money here. I have done my assets declaration. Yes, I'd be happy to do so. Look, if I am elected into office, I am going to be an anti-corruption president. And let me tell you something. If Gambia continues in the direction it is going, many more Gambians would invest abroad and not invest in Gambia. You know why? You know why? Our country is listed as the second worst country in the world to do business. Who would want to bring his money here? That is why I'm running for president. I want to change it, not just for me, but for all Gambians in the diaspora. I want to change it for every Gambian who has the opportunity to invest. I want to make this country a safe and a good place and a competitive place to invest. Well, if I had dual citizenship, wouldn't I stand here and renounce it? That is the most nonsensical accusation I have ever seen, because it makes no sense. Just imagine, what would a Senegalese citizenship do for me that Gambian citizenship cannot do for me?
Nothing.
But you suggesting, well, I'm not Mr. Jassy, sir. Look at me. I am very handsome and looking young. And in addition to that, I have, look, if I had Senegalese citizenship, it does not do anything for me that Gambian citizenship doesn't do. And the thing is, if I had it, I would have renounced it. It's a simple thing. Thank you very much. My time is up. So thank you very much. Well, the rules are the rules. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Who is the GRTS person here?
Submitted his nomination papers to the Independent Electoral Commission, and then he is walking away now using the same route that he used to go out and then meet his supporters who are out there to receive him. And then Yoro, Tijan, Haji, Mr. Baji, we heard him say there. But one key thing that caught my attention has to do with the wild rumor that has been ongoing about his dual citizenship. And then he said, what would a Senegalese citizenship do for him that a Gambian citizenship wouldn't have done for him? And then he would have renounced his Senegalese citizenship if he had it, but in the first place, that is not what obtains. This is what we just heard him say, and then we can hear from his tone and then from his, charisma that he's very optimistic to take up leadership of this country when he is voted into office come December 4th, because he has a lot of things that he outlined that he intends to change December 4th. And just like we can see outside there that our cameras are showing us, it is a very huge crowd out there that accompanied Mr. Essa Faal, and they're to receive him, to take him where exactly he is. And then we will be discussing this in our respective local languages momentarily. But now we'll shift our attention to our own correspondent who is here with us this morning, Madam Essa Gassama. She has been keeping an eye on that press briefing, and then perhaps we might miss some of the details. And Aissatou is there to bring us up to date. Aissatou, good morning. Tell us what has been happening there at the press desk.
Thank you very much, Fatma, and to the rest of the panelists there. Well, after days of witnessing series of submission of credentials of president political parties and independent aspirants, we just witnessed Mr. Mbye Faal presents his nomination papers to the returning officer of the IEC, which will undergo public scrutiny, after which if he meets the requirements provided by the election house, then he'll be qualified to vie for the December 4th presidential election. So after the presentation shortly, Mr. Faal spoke to the press. Well, he's not happy. Mr. Faal is telling us that someone is trying to precisely he accused the NPP for undermining him because they had to redouble the vehicle that they station at the for petrol station, at least to bring his supporters to the ground. But then they are disappointed knowing that these people went there to undermine them. Also, he made one important thing as part of his agendas, that is youth empowerment. Mr. Faal said once he's elected to office, he will try by all means, his government will empower youth and the people in the diaspora. And another he made mention is that Mr. Faal is very optimistic of winning the December 4th elections. And some journalists also asked him about his dual citizenship because it's been murmuring everywhere. So one might think it might affect his candidature as an independent aspirant. But all that he said is no. He has only one citizenship, that is the Gambia. And then he said when he's elected into office, he's ready to declare his asset to the public.
Right, thank you so much, Aissatou Jatta there. Many thanks. We will definitely get back to you because the incumbent, that's the President of the Republic, Mr. Adam Ababa, will be here at 11 o'clock to present his nomination papers to the Chairman, but one thing I must have missed is the part Essa spoke about, and that has to do with sabotage. At some point, everybody was wondering what kind of sabotage he was talking about, but he had said he had hired vehicles that were supposed to transport his supporters from across the country, and then the agreement at some point was flouted by what he said, the NPP party. We are unable to confirm that, but these are allegations coming from the independent aspirant, presidential aspirant, Mr. Essa Mbye Faal. But we will leave it there. And then Tijan, bëgg nga waxtaan ak suñu mbokki wolof yi nga xamante ne ñu ngi seetaan ak li fi xew tey Essa moo joxe document sami tey nomination paper sami.
waaw jërëjëfati ki nga xam ne nag mooy Fatoumata comme ni nga ko waxee rek tey gis nañ kii di Essa Mbye Faal bu mu yegsee fii IEC jébal na li nga xam ne moom mooy ay kayitam yi moom nag mbiram xawoon naa yàgg tuuti parce que kayit yi mu indi dafa mel ni nag xaw naa sakkan seet nañu lépp gestuwaat nañu lépp IEC dal dinañu ko nangu ci moom jox ko li nga xam ne moom mooy receipt boobu mooy wane ne li ñu ko laaj jébal na ko waaye li xew mooy dinañu gestuwaat mbiri bu baax a baax fii ba samedi xam ñu bari yaakaar nañ ne bu dimanche dinañ mën a xam ñan ñoo war a bokk ci jongante presidential election gis nga bi mu seexee waxtaan ak ñi nga xam ne ñooy tasxati xibaar yi mu am lu bari loo xam ne ŋàññe na nguur gi waaye comme Fatoumata li nga ko wax rek li gën a jàppa nit ñi seeni xel mooy ay xibaar yoo xam ne mu ngi doon tasaare ci xarala yu mujj yi di internet ñu wane ne moom doomi réewi Sénégal la doomi réewi Gambia la mu ngi mel ni daal moom pàkk ñaari boor la.
te leeral na ko fi tey.
te leeral na ko ne moom amul benn këy boo xam ne mooy firndeel ne moom doomi sénégalais la parce que lim ci teg mooy lan la ko doon sénégalais di njëriñ boo xamante ne doon Gambien du ko njëriñ loolu leeral na ko ñu dem ci li nga xam ne mooy sabotage parce que bi mu ne sabotage ñëpp dañ jàpp.
If you want to receive monies from UK, Europe, USA, Canada, Switzerland, and the rest of the world, Supersonic's money transfer has got you covered. With the largest payout network in the Gambia, you can now receive your monies anywhere you are, from Kartong to Koina, with less hassle. Yes! You can receive monies from your family and friends in UK, Europe,